ever a war, that we would need to use our aircraft, ships, and submarines. We would have a place, and people get stationed there also. Building a word. Okay, who wants to go next? Okay, go for it.
John D. Rockefeller.
Okay, so these two people, we kind of pull a little bit from what you guys learned on Tuesday with all of the new technology and resources that are coming. These two people, does anyone know what Andrew Carnegie did? Do you know what he did?
They have like a museum there.
Do you remember what he was famous for? No, that was the place that got named after him. But he was in the business of steel. So maybe some of the steel beams that are in buildings are made from his company. But he made a lot of money from that. And you know what? That steel was used for our ships and all of that to help us in buildings and grow our economy and everything. And John D. Rockefeller, does anyone know what he was famous for? That's right, he did oil. So we are a very big economy of oil. How did you get to school today? Your car needed gasoline, which comes from oil. So it prospered people with our first kind of cars and everything, and our businesses and factories, but it also helped give oil to our ships and our big aircrafts and everything, so that prepared us for it. Okay, Alejandro, where do you think it is? So we got 2, so we have 3 letters left in this word, and we have 4 letters left in that word. What's your letter? What's your letter? R, where do you think it goes? No. Okay, one more try. One more second, and then we'll go to someone else and come back.
But they were definitely
Okay, you can think about it. Okay, who wants to go next? Okay, go for it.
The American Pie 1906.
Okay.
So why is this a big deal?
Okay. So playing a little bit from Miss Griffin's lesson when we were talking about immigration, the United States became this whole big area, not just people that were from America. We had Italians. My family was Italian. We had Scots, and we had Dutch people, and we had many different kinds of people that made us what we are. So, we had the businesses that grew to make us what we are as a world power came from the different people's perspectives and influences. We didn't have just, our cotton jobs as Mr. Reed talked about. We had more things that dealt with their lifestyle and their nationality, and so it gave us a little bit more, and we were able to sell more things to get our relations better with other countries. So we had so many different people all together that helped us become a world power. So what's your letter? Where do you think it goes?
Not beside the O, but
One letter over?
Their colonies in the south.
No. One more try though.
The war has started. 10 years later.
right.
I can tell you that there are 3 letters going to be here. There's going to be 1 and then 3 letters
10
there.
months later, America wins the war. At the Treaty of
No.
Paris.
We'll come back to Alejandro. What do you think?
America obtained former Spanish colonies in the Philippines.
Beside the O, what's your letter again? That's right. Okay. I don't want any kind of answers yet, but who thinks they kind of have some idea? Okay, keep it to the end, okay? We'll ask it. Okay.
Expansion of the US Navy.
Okay. So who likes all the military? ships in it. Those are pretty big ships. You see all those ships?
I like it.
Exactly. So we had huge. We started off with a little bit, but as we kind of learned from the British Navy, because they were one of the big ones, we started growing ours. We started making our own ships and growing so that, again, if something did come along as a war, we would be ready. But we didn't want to go into a war. But we were called the unsinkable fleet. So we had so many, they couldn't sink us. So we expanded and we used anthroponic steel and we used the oil to help benefit each of these to become. So all those ships became, okay, Logan, what's your letter? L, where do you think it goes?
Like the psychology.
That's right.
This is Penny very good.
Okay, Eileen, back to you. Yep, right there. Okay, who still has the card?
Spanish American.
Spanish American War. I think we all kind of are always constantly in some kind of war. But this one was with the Spanish country, we kind of started not being nice. And our president at the time, Teddy Roosevelt, gathered a group of men. And do you remember what they were called? That group of men? Carlia? Right, the Rough Riders. Yeah. So he was kind of, that was similar to the military at the time. You know, we didn't have all the guns and ammunition and stuff that we have today, but they made do with horses and swords and a little bit of guns. And we'll talk about one of these in just a minute, but it was very kind of heated, but we got something out of it, so that will be something that we'll talk about in just a minute. Okay, what's your letter? Everything goes. Yep, good job. So out of that Spanish-American War, we got 3 territories. Puerto Rico, and we got Guam, and we got the Philippines. That was kind of our resources. We were able to kind of put people over there and kind of, that was kind of our reward that we had for winning the Spanish American War. Okay, so let's pretend that we're in California and your grandparents live in South Carolina. Okay, so we flipped this. And we wanted to get some really big furniture and cars over to your grandparents, but you weren't going to go across the United States. You had to put it on one of those big cargo ships. Have you seen one of those big cargo ships? You had to put all that, and you had to sail all the way down from California, all the way down to the tip of South America, all the way up. That's a long time. That's a long time for stuff, you know? Did you wait that long? To go all the way down and wait for that stuff to come? I wouldn't either. So we were thinking, how can we make it easier? You know, we're always about finding that shortcut. So there's a little break in between Mexico and South America that we started building the Panama Canal. Have anyone seen how a canal works? Okay. So they have the ships come into these lines of water, okay, and they fill it up. And because there's different levels of water on one side than the other, they have to lower it down to where it can go out, because if they let it down, it would drop pretty far. So we thought about doing this. So now, you know, if you wanted to get something, all that furniture and cars and materials, instead of going all the way down to the tip of South America and back up, you could just go cut right through there. And it was really helpful for a lot of ships and transportation to go right through there. So that really helped us get materials and resources there. That helped us move the world. Okay, everything goes. By under the R? Okay. Even though I have the last letter, what do you all think it is? I have the R, but we're going to talk. This kind of goes a little bit into Cuba, well, Havana, Cuba, the USS Maine. So during that Spanish-American War, we had conflict. We had a conflict in Cuba. And one of our ships, called the USS Maine,
Here was the issue.
it
President Roosevelt,
they weren't very nice. So you can see how we lost one of our ships. So that kind of made us angry and to pursue into the Spanish-American War.
okay,
So I have the R. So
what was happening is, there was
as you
no
all figured out,
way
it is
this military right there. So you either had to go on
world
and
power.
or you had to
So all of these events that we discussed have something to do with becoming a world power. You know, all of these together, because all of these cards came together to make what words? So all of the events came together to make us what we are, to prepare us for the things that come. But if I was to take away this event, and this event, and this event, it didn't bring us together, you know. Some of these events could be why you're sitting here today, you know. Multiple things that happened, but this one event could mean why you're sitting, and that's why you're sitting right there today. So they all came together to make the world power.